Welcome to Let's Chat with Derick. I am your host, Derick Phage, and pleased to introduce today's guest. She is a professional artist, writer, instruction with 100 Watt Productions, and is a personal theater company. I'm joined by Kristina Watt. Kristina, how are you?
That's such a loaded question these days when we ask.
Yeah.
It's kind of wonderful, you know, when you ask someone or they ask you, how are you? It's bigger than, you know, it's big now.
Well, and you're getting real answers now, right? Whereas,
Yeah,
I don't know
hopefully.
if you've seen it. Well, I
Yeah,
think I've seen that.
I
I think
think
it's quite
so.
refreshing.
Me
Even
too.
just being outside on a walk and,
Yeah,
you're walking by somebody and they ask you, how are you?
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
just in passing. They actually seem to care. How are you? And I think
absolutely.
one of the
And
positives that's come out of it for sure.
yeah, it's like we're all unified by this sort of permission that not everyone might be entirely okay.
Yeah.
Like we're all kind of unified by survival mode, and then it's just everyone's story is different. So that's kind of, that's wonderful in a way. And if
Yeah.
you say, you know, I'm struggling, it's well, it probably relates in some way to them, right? Even
Yeah.
though their story might be different. So
So
there is
what
a
is
bit of
what
a
is your
breath in.
story?
What's my story? Um, I think, like, as blurry as time is, and you know, what day is it and whatever, that kind of surreal movement through time we're navigating across the world, it's every day can be a different ride,
Yeah.
and even part of a day. So you know, some days, I mean, I'll be, in the spirit of honesty, are really hard.
Hmm.
So those, it's just like I either surrender to it and pull back on certain things, or certain things I wanted to do, or I just know, okay, this is an extra effort. This is going to be like pulling a weight along with even just the simplest things. And then some days, I don't know why, there's a certain, maybe it's what we talked about before, there's a certain peace in the whole thing, and maybe also the arrival of spring. And every day I go for a walk, and those walks are, every time I would walk before, which I love to do. I loved walking. I used to be a runner, and I can't anymore, so I walk. But when I walk, it's usually because there's a destination. And now it's like the walk is like this window in the day. And I can almost feel that that's what it is for others of all ages.
Yeah.
And there's something blissful in that. Also, maybe, you know, speaking from Ottawa here, the powers that be have done certain things like closing off parts of the canal to cars, and just people are just walking on the road. And so those are beautiful windows.
Yeah. I find, Kristina, for me, I cherish the walk. Whereas,
Yeah.
no, I do. Whereas before, as
No,
you
I
said, you
laugh
just,
because I agree.
right? You just go for a walk and it's, it is what it is. And now you go and it's like, yes, you know what? I am going for a walk. This is going to be a wonderful experience, right? It's something you take for granted. So I guess that's something to be grateful for. Let's talk about
Absolutely.
on a professional level for
Sure.
yourself, Kristina. What sort of impact has this had on you professionally? Because I know, you're an actor, a writer yourself, but you also work with youth. So I imagine that's been impacted quite greatly.
Yeah. I mean, working in the arts took a big hit, right? Because it relies on people.
Yeah.
It relies on people gathering in the same space, right? Not to say that also, you know, film industry as well, but it's people in a shared space. Um, so a big hit,
Yeah.
whether it was, I was cast to do a show at the GCTC, literally starting rehearsal later that month. That would have been March. And just that ripple effect as of around March 12th, 13th, where just the notices come in. And at first it's like postponed, we'll check in a couple of months, and then updates, changes upon changes. So, but on the whole, most projects were canceled. So I was going to be in Unholy at the Great Canadian Theatre Company, that contract. And hopefully it reappears next year. But even something like, even though things are reopening, you know, as we're dabbling with reopening in Ontario and different places around the world, the whole idea of creating a situation where spectators are in the same place, it's not just about, okay, we can get back to work. It's about, do we create a setting that is, people might not want to take that risk yet, even when the floodgates are open, you know, or, you know, and will people come? Will people come?
There's a fear involved to that. You know, I understand what you're saying, because, you know, first of all, I'm out of work. So, you know, and you're basically out of work yourself. So the fear is, you know, even as it begins to come back, will we ever get back to where it was, right? And I think that's a real fear for a lot of people, especially in the arts community.
Yeah. So there were things like those where one level was professional contracts, another level was I was teaching a couple of practical acting courses at the university, which of course, you know, can you go online? So you're just the brain exercise and bending to try and you know, fulfill something that would be of value to the students while playing the game of, no, it's not in the room, but, you know, so and I think you know, I think I succeeded to the degree that's possible within that. So those courses ended. We're looking at unknowns ahead in terms of how different courses will happen, whether they're online, whether they're a blend, whether they're in a room, but with all the social distancing protocols. So it's like work gone, and now the window is who knows what lies ahead, right? And then a part of my life that I feel, and you mentioned, that is really a big part of my heart and my work, is working with young people, and in particular, a project that I had created over 2 years with a group of teenagers called 12, that gives voice to their sense of climate crisis and their hopes for the future. And so that had been booking and touring around Ottawa, and then there were a few more bookings coming up. So that was gone. And that was a different level. Like I can be responsible for my work and make things happen, but handling, I felt, because I was, you know, connected to them, how to support their disappointment.
Right.
And how to, and I'm in the middle of this now, how to keep them going and say, well, your voice is not getting out there, but where is it in quarantine? So we're working on a screen, which of course they know isn't the same. So it's about keeping things alive, filled with doubt as to what that means now and what that means ahead. And like we mentioned before we start, you know, I'm not a digital artist.
Yeah, me neither.
And I have too much respect for filmmakers, for video creators, for great YouTube makers. You know, like, I actually think they've worked really hard to get to that point. So I've sort of been at war with this, not assumption, and maybe I'm taking it on myself, of going, all right, I quickly need to learn that discipline, that whole art form, in order to do my own. But it's like, that's, you know, so
it's a completely different art form as well, right?
It is.
Because you've got to wrap your head around, you know, I was trying to do these live, you know, onto Facebook Live so people could comment as they went. And I tried, you know, I worked with 4 weeks with a couple of friends in the industry, and they're trying to tell me how to put it together. And, you know, they're speaking a totally different language than myself. And then I'm watching YouTube videos on how to do it. Quite frankly, honestly, I just said, listen, I know how to use Skype. I know how to use Zoom. I know how to record interviews. They don't have to be live. People will comment after the fact because it was just too overwhelming. You know, like I already want to do proper research on all my guests to make sure that they shine, you know, that's what my job is as an interviewer, is to make people shine, right? So that's what my concentration was on, and then all this other stuff was just noise that I
Oh.
did not want to deal with.
Yeah, so I'm in that soup right now of
Yeah.
going, do I try and keep things alive according to what I do best? And if that might mean that there's less of certain things and other people that do it better, and surrender to that, and then wait, you know, to
Yeah.
see how things unfold. Or, you know, and I think I need to pull back. I'm feeling it in my brain, in my eyes these days, of going, I'm really forcing myself into a discipline that is, like I said, people that are really good at it. And like you, we've known each other. My forte is human to human.
Yeah.
So as much as I can do that on the screen, I'm going to get to that point. And if it doesn't work for everyone, or some classes that I try and put online, then I can't force that. And I'm happy to send them to people that do it much better, you know, like it's,
Yeah. No,
I'm
I
thinking
get
for
it.
my own health.
I
Yeah.
struggled with, you know, I need to make this perfect, right? This has to be perfect. Or if I put it online, no one's going to watch and no one's going to care. And then I had to let go of the perfection of
Yeah.
it. You know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect for
No.
everybody. I
No.
think, you know, it's a great way to connect with people. And I think spiritually, we need it.
Yes.
And, you know, if it's 12 people, it's 12 people. If it's,
Yeah.
you know, 2000, it's 2000. That's the way I started looking at it.
Great. Great. That's a great reminder. Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. No,
So
and I'm trying. Yeah.
you mentioned, Kristina, is still working with the youth, and as I understand it, you're creating sort of a time capsule with them.
Oh, yeah. So that's all right. So beautiful. Part of my work with youth is also my 100 Watt Productions partners with the Ottawa Children's Theatre, which my colleague Amanda Lewis, we go back
I
many
know
years.
Amanda.
Do you? Okay,
Yes,
great.
yes.
So one of the classes I've been teaching is called the Senior Performance Company, and there's 7 teenagers. And then teenagers, like, I'll give you the ages. They're about 13 to 15,
Okay.
which is a very complicated age to be living through this.
Hmm.
And at home, all, you know, all socially, spiritually, school, every, you know, anyway. So I then coincidentally, I found out about this project that was initiated by a company in England called Company 3. And they started this initiative that is going on called the Coronavirus Time Capsule.
Okay.
And they reached out to companies all over the world that work with young people. And so I was really happy to, you know, connect with them. And and what their goal is to, and it's a digital project,
Yeah.
but it can be as humble and honest. I call it that. It doesn't need to be slick, as it can be, and to craft under different themes about a 5-minute video that captures what this particular group of theater teenagers are living right now. So whether it's their home life, whether it's friendships, whether it's their sense of space, whether that's food, like just, or how do they let loose, or so we're at that point of we're in the middle of it. Well, no, I would say early third of it. So
Okay.
within the month we will finish this, and then it will be shared with Company 3, and then it will be spread around the world. I don't know of another one now, as
Okay.
I speak, it could happen. It's happening in Canada, but there's ones from all over Europe. There's ones in different languages from Brazil. So we're going to be part of that mix.
Oh, that's great. What a great outlet too for
Yeah,
young people, as you said,
yeah,
in that age group. My daughter's falls within that age group. And yeah, I mean, this is totally different for them, you know. I think, you know, for the first 2 or 3 weeks, it was like, hey, no school. And now it's
I
like,
know.
oh my God, where are my friends? I need to
Yeah,
I need to
yeah,
connect with them, you know,
yeah,
on a face-to-face basis. This isn't working. And I
I
think
know.
it's a great lesson. I hope some young people take it as somewhat of a lesson of how important that human connection really is, because we've gotten away from it so much over the last, well, decade, maybe even 2 decades, that we just seem to be getting further and further away from that. So again, if I try to look at a positive that this pandemic has created, I think it's that, we need to be nourished in that way. I mean, you go out walking and everyone's saying hi to each other, and, and asking how they're doing. And we didn't see that before. And as we said earlier, they're asking how you're doing, and they really mean it now. It's not just, hey, how are you? Because I just want to acknowledge that your human presence is here. It's no, hey, how are you? No, how are you really feeling? So I hope people take that. I want to talk to you on a personal basis, Kristina, because I can imagine you're having not only a difficult time professionally, but certainly personally, as your mom is in a, as I understand it, a long-term care facility. Tell me what that's been like for both you and your mother.
Thank you for giving time to this. And I know there's a lot of others in a similar situation, and the news has really created this focus on it, which hopefully leads to a spotlight that leads to maybe positive changes down the road. We talk about silver linings, because it seems to be some kind of a wake-up call for either governments or people going, how did I not know this was going on? And now I think the vulnerable links of our society, like I almost feel like this little blue virus has put a magnifying glass wherever there were very buried cracks, whether it's in us personally, and it's very, it makes things, brings things up, or socio-politically, right? And I would say this is one of them. So I say that in a way because I hope changes will happen. My mother has vascular dementia, so and it's quite fast moving, apparently relatively. So I would say that for her, she's not entirely clear on what's going on. So part of the sadness in it is, or the complication is, that she doesn't quite understand why I made a pledge about a year or two ago to really be with her. I'm the main caregiver here in Ottawa, rest of the families around the world, and I've been with her quite a bit. All right. So her understanding right now of why I'm not there, or when I'm able to arrange a through the window visit, which are pretty scarce. She doesn't quite understand why I can't come in. So there's a little bit of battle sometimes with me as to, for instance, the window visits, is it causing her more distress?
Right, because of the lack of understanding. Like, you're right there. Why aren't you sitting beside me?
Absolutely. And there was one time, and it's okay to laugh on this because, I mean, she got the fact that it's so illogical right now. The staff put her on a mobile phone, and I got on the phone. This was about a month ago, and then I never did it again. And she was through the window, and I talked to her. And at first, she made the connection, and then she suddenly said, I can't talk to you right now. My daughter's right here. So,
wow, that disconnect.
I know. So she didn't, because of course.
I mean, you're there. Why am I on this thing? Yeah.
So I actually respect her logic, but I realized, okay, keep it simple. All right. Mm-hmm. So it's very lonely. It's very hard not to be able to be hands-on. It's very hard to know that she's declining, because dementia is not stopping. Right. We're on pause in ways, but that's not stopping.
Yeah, I mean, you're being, I just think for you personally too, you're missing out on that time, right?
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah. So it's like being steps away from the decline, but not being able to either help or contribute to the, so that's a big adjustment. I mean, on the positive, she's in a facility where, with all the constraints, really strong constraints, the virus hasn't hit.
Okay.
And so I that's great. I mean, that's number one. I mean, it's about me, but it's not about me. It's yeah, it's a strange time for all of us, right? It's about
Yeah.
us as individuals, but it's about something bigger, and in a way we can only fight it so much. Like, I can't go to them and go, no, let me in. I
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
say, so in a way I go for a walk.
Yeah, yeah.
I walk it off,
There's
Derick.
a sense of acceptance, but I'll go back to what you said, and I'm glad you brought it up. I've talked about this with a personal family caregiver during another interview, and this magnifying glass on our seniors. And I don't think that we've realized over the years, pandemic aside, how we've let our seniors down in many situations where they are completely isolated. They're feeling isolated. They don't feel that they're worthy anymore, right?
Yeah.
They feel like, we're sort of forgotten and you guys are moving on from us. And
Yeah.
I think this is shining a light on, no, these are the people that, have so much knowledge, have so many wonderful stories that we've ignored for so long. And I hope that through this, there's almost a sense of desperation to reconnect with our seniors and to show them that the respect that they deserve. Right.
Yeah, I would hope so. I think we I think there's a fear of aging and our own mortality, especially maybe in certain cultures, and maybe with exceptions, North American culture. So you're right, we put them in these homes, we push them away from view, and we understaff, and we
Yeah.
underpay, and with exceptions, right? Or private homes, we prey upon the vulnerability of upwards of $5,000 a month, and these are the elders. And I think there's other cultures where the elders are, to use the word of the day, essential.
Yeah.
And they are essential to our youth. So bridging those generations, like most of my family is in Colombia, in South America.
Okay.
And I've been very interested in, a lot of countries are doing different things right now. Well, in the Colombian culture, they don't have nearly as many as these homes, these nursing homes and
Right.
long care or even retirement homes. They have much fewer, because the whole idea of having, if you're able to, having the elders in the home with the children, with the, until you're, like, it's just a given.
Yeah.
Just like it's just a given. That's family. And so what they've done now is, well, not what they've done now, but because of that, how are they handling COVID? Well, they have a restriction where nobody over 70, and it sounds extreme, but nobody over 70, everybody over 70 is in total quarantine.
Right.
So that means that's their way of protecting their seniors, the vulnerable people. And they're just saying, no, you stay home, and then family will bring you things, whatever, but that's how we protect you. So they're not all in these petri dish clusters.
Yeah.
With one infection. So,
Well, and Kristina, the positive that you said there too, in that kind of culture, the Colombian culture, and you see it in some European cultures as well, is that that quarantine can happen, and they're not alone. Some of them, right? Is that they have the benefit. They're in the family home. They're living with there's 3 generations living together. So it's you can quarantine, but you're still you still get you're still connected to your family, which is a wonderful place to be. I mean, and I just want everyone to understand too. We understand there's people like your mom that are in long-term care facilities you can't bring home because of the type of care that is necessary. But there are other seniors, around the world that don't need, the constant care, and that are living, in a facility, and they're isolated from their families. I have a couple of friends that actually have brought their parents from a facility, their
Oh,
retirement home, and brought them home just because if, they feel safer, and,
uh,
they made the sacrifice of, we've got room. And so we're going to make it work.
yeah.
I know that can't work for everybody, but I hope
No,
it is something
no,
that we consider more as a
yeah,
society, of getting back to these multi-generational homes. It's
yeah.
not for everybody, but
No,
it,
no, and
it
it's
is for
not
some.
definitely, yeah, and it's definitely not possible. So, and that's okay that it's not possible for everyone. I think
Hmm.
then we have to look at what's happening in these homes, including for the staff and including, what is happening in the homes. And that's where the highlight, the spotlight.
Yeah, I'm glad you
They
mentioned
can be
staff as well,
wonderful
because
places.
as
Yeah,
you said, they've been so understaffed for years, and now that's just been, you know, tenfold now with a situation like this. It just shows, how understaffed and how unprepared we are when something like this. I mean, we've seen the flu go through homes before. Now that's completely
true,
different than a
true.
pandemic like this, but it just shows, how difficult it is to keep people away from each other. And if you go across the country and look at different communities and the types of homes, I mean, some of them, they're sharing rooms together. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So,
I feel like we've let them down.
well, I think to go back to a lot of what we've talked about today, the spotlight on how we treat each other, whether it's human to human, our elders, our youth, and maybe even the planet,
Yeah.
in terms of what we listen to and what we see, and how we share space, right now with each other, and with the air, with the, and
Yeah.
maybe we've just been driving through the space
Yeah.
really fast,
I agree.
you
Christina,
know
I
yeah.
need to just say that this is the kind of conversation I needed with somebody.
Me
Seriously.
too, me too,
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
too,
I can't thank
me
you
too.
enough. I know, I know what we're going to get through it, obviously, but as you said at the start, it's like a roller coaster of emotions, not even by day. Sometimes it's by hour. So talking to somebody that's so honest in their feelings, and how they're getting along,
And to you too, Derick.
means a
To you
lot.
too. Yeah, means a lot to me too. And to thank you to anyone that's watching. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for people that are watching, I just want to encourage you, share your comments below on my YouTube channel. No, let us know what you think of this. Perhaps you have some coping methods, that have
Yeah,
worked for you and could work for Christina and I, and other viewers out there. And don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people, because it's important. I think more important than ever, for sure.
yeah. Yes, sir.
Also want to let everybody know 100watt.org is the place that they can go to find out what you've been up to and what's happening, and different resources available. I should say too that I worked with you many, many years ago. I think it was in
We met.
2004 is when
Yes.
we met,
Yeah.
because I was new to television, and I had I guess you could call it a bit of a tick, where I spoke so quickly that I
I
needed
like
to.
to say your mind goes so fast that it's quicker than your, yeah,
Perhaps
very
that was
fast.
it. But my producer, Amrita, at the time just suggested, well, maybe you could find somebody that could help you sort of slow things down and get some of those ticks out of your vocabulary. And who did I find? I found Kristina
We
Watt,
found
and
each other. Yeah, we
you
found.
you helped me a great deal.
I'm glad. Well, and if anyone has a young person out there that in some way I could support them creatively, or just reach out. I'd love to. I'd
Yeah,
love to.
again, that is 100watt.org. Christina, thank you again. Really appreciate it. We'll do this again sometime.
I look forward to it. Be well.
Thank
Walk
you.
for
You
a
too.
walk.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.